Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Seamaster 2018 ITTF World Tour Lion Japan Open Kita Kyushu. We'll now start with the men's singles quarterfinals. Please welcome Lee Sang-soo from Korea Republic.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ITTF Seamaster 2018 World Tour Lion Japan Open, coming to you live from Kita, Kyushu, Japan. I'm your commentator, Adam Bobrow, and that is Lee Sang-soo, the top player from Korea. And now the top player representing the Chinese Taipei team, the top player in Taiwan for a good 2 decades now, nearly that. Zhuangzi Yuan playing some incredible table tennis still. He's world ranked number 16. And just incredible, in outstanding shape. Interesting. So I've got Lee Sang-soo as world ranked number 8. And Zhuangzi Yuan at currently world ranked number 16 for the last 2 months, actually. So we will see, unless something has changed here. That being said, we've got 2 very steady players. Here's a look at the World Tour standings. Fan Zhendong at the top of the game, but Ma Long will take over that spot more than likely after this tournament. Only 50 points behind Fan Zhendong and a lot on the line. Lee Sang-soo there at number 10. Zhuangzi Yuan, didn't see him. Looking to get on that list. He's been playing a few tournaments. It's been a little while. I remember at the 2016. Trying to think now, the Hungarian Open, either way. First tournament of the year, I think it was 2016, Zhuangzi Yuan won. A lot of exciting players on that list, though, from Lee Sang-soo to Junmi Zutani, Timo Boll, and others. Jonathan Groth at the bottom. So Zhuangzi Yuan cleaning the table. He's one of a few players that has been able to play at the Chinese speed, or quite close anyway, and compete with the Chinese over the years. Lee Sang-soo recently has had his successes over Chinese players, from Lin Gaoyuan to Xu Xin. He's taken down a few of the big names. Lin Gaoyuan is with Zhang Jike in the absent until just recently, sort of was an honorary member of the Big Four, the 4th player that was being sent out to represent China. So these are big wins for Lee Sang-soo. Zhuangzi Yuan very good over the table, very fit to get in with the backhand and right back, comfortable in the counter game. Not outrageously tricky, but outrageously consistent and just works so hard. So here we have some information about Lee Sang-soo on the screen. 4th seed in the tournament. Quarterfinals last week in China. Quarterfinals the week before. So if there's any sense of consistency in the 2018 tournaments in the last 2 weeks, this would be his last match. Head-to-head, these two, well, I'm quite curious. I would say that it should be a very close match. In many senses, by the way they've performed lately, I would favor Lee Sang-soo. Look at the 2018 results for Zhuangzi Yuan. Nothing past round of 16. The 9th seed in this tournament, so we will see again if athleticism, creativity, a bit of side spin on the counter loops here and there. If he can get in early and keep Lee Sang-soo from getting the big power in, I think Zhuangzi Yuan will have his best chances, but that's sort of what his game is. Very tight near the table. Masae Higashijima from Japan, our umpire, assistant umpire, Yoko Iba, making it much easier on me. Thank you, Yoko. And arigato. Yoko, the assistant umpire. So Lee Sang-soo with a cannon on both sides, incredibly fast footwork. Now both of these players have done an Ask a Pro Anything interview. Zhuangzi Yuan is out there for the world to see. I call him the Suge Knight of table tennis because he doesn't smile almost ever when he's on the court. A rare occasion in Taiwan when he played Jean-Michel Save, the funniest table tennis match of all time. He played the straight man to Jean-Michel Save, but showed some humor when need be and was quite perfect for the role. If you want to see him smiling, check out his Ask a Pro Anything, and Lee Sang-soo's is on the way. But right now, it is all game time. Starting off the quarterfinal, Lee Sang-soo to serve. Good response here to the long serve. Some players who are very aggressive love to use that long serve more frequently if they're not too afraid of the opening receive. Something deep to the backhand that the opponent can't step around. Oh, that cannon backhand. It's his favorite shot. I think it's everyone's favorite Lee Song-soo shot, other than his recent around the net forehand from the backhand side.
2-all.
This is where all that physicality and footwork comes from, or where it pays off, I should say. Zhuang Zhiyuan in for the short forehand side with the backhand and right back to cover the wide corner the other way. First towel break, Lee Song-soo and Zhuang Zhiyuan both making their way over. It is interesting how you got some players that have incredible power that you've never heard of because they don't make it past the qualification rounds at the tournament. Players like Zhuang Zhiyuan, very solid in the counter game near the table. For example, at the start of this point, a lot of heat coming in. Players who know how to use their opponent's speed and spin, much like Liu Shiwen does. Control from in closer. What a handle to that long push. Zhuang Zhiyuan sends it deep to the backhand, and Lee Song-soo, like he knew it was coming. Finishes the stroke, starts to turn for the forehand. Backhand all day. It feels like it's been some time. 5 points in a row now for Lee Song-soo. From 1-1 to 2-2. Now 7-2.
Next, 7-2.
He can't stop it right now. Zhuang Zhiyuan's going to have to try and find another answer, whether it's a long push to the middle, flick out wide to the forehand. Good old ice cream cone flip. Deep to the backhand side.
2-9. This
is a better fight for Zhuang Zhiyuan to pick. Nothing too long, but still back of the table, forehand flick. Hanging in there for a few big shots, but it's Lee Song-soo who has 7 game points to take the first game. And he does it 11-3. Zhuang Zhiyuan has his work cut out for him. We'll be back for game. Back for game number 2, Zhuang Zhiyuan at the bottom of the screen in green with the serve on his side. Game 1 only got 3 points to the 11 of Lee Song-soo. That's a tough ball always, one that kicks up a little bit higher to the backhand. Zhuang Zhiyuan just getting his racket out to keep the ball in place, save it. Good solid flip from the middle. He's been tested now 1 for 2 with that shot. Slightly different placement. Oh,
2-0.
had him way out wide. What a turn. Zhang Zhiyuan goes around the corner to receive this with his forehand. Decided a little bit early. Leaves open the short corner. That parallel forehand.
2-3.
Ooh, awkward ball in between. Light rotation into the middle. Again, we see this a lot where placement pays off more than other things. Just enough pace to keep pressure on. Doesn't have to be a kill shot. I mentioned physical fitness for Zhang Zhiyuan. I had a chance to work out with him in Qatar, and it's pretty incredible how strong he is.
3-0.
From lifting power to stamina.
3-4.
That being said, Lee Sang-soo, some pretty impressive shape right now as well. Incredibly fast, clearly has more power. He's currently doing military service, finishes in November, gets married in December.
3-4.
Not a bad graduation present. And even in the change of pace, Lee Sang-soo showing some versatility here. Driven away from the table. So Zhang Zhiyuan using, again, the timing, the speed. Not power. I mean, enough, obviously. But not quite the same power we've seen from Lee Sang-soo.
4-6.
Good control, and he's leading now by 2. I talked to Kunik Jha on his Ask a Pro Anything interview. His favorite player, the question was, who's your favorite player? He said, Zhang Zhiyuan. Just love the way he fights and works so hard. Doesn't have an easy way out of many points. Good description. Oh, beautiful.
5-6.
Really had to focus on that last shot here. Big opening backhand, the turn deep to the backhand corner. Both feet were in the air when he contacted that last one. Surprise, surprise, long push all up in your grill. By grill, I mean body. 7 points to 5, a 2-point lead now for Zhang Zhiyuan. Dalia was talking a bit about the humidity here earlier. Has been quite warm in the eastern part of the giant table tennis ball. The 40++ that we call Earth.
8-5.
Humidity can be very tough to play in as the ball slides off the rubber from time to time. Also the grip of your hand on the racket.
6-8.
When you are a player like Zhang Zhiyuan, who's quite a solid player, very consistent, steady, you have to be clever and chisel away, find the weakness in your opponent. That's one thing that experience helps you with, identifying the weakness. Oh, beautiful parallel backhand. To change up the direction like that in just a moment. So difficult to tell where he's going to go. That's a big point for Zhang Zhiyuan. Understand the foot stomp of frustration. Lee Sang-soo, he makes this shot. Chances are good he wins the point. He's working it a little bit more into the body, into the middle for Zhang Zhiyuan. Tougher to block. Oh, beautiful rally. And again, Zhang Zhiyuan on top of the bounce in position. Hitting and moving, getting ready for the next ball quickly. 3 game points. Not the first time we've seen him brought into the table and then retrieving from that backhand corner. So we're trying to keep the ball in play. Surprise on the placement here. In the touch game, Zhuang Zhiyuan holds it down 11-8 after being dominated in game number 1. 11-3, he turns things around, ties it up at 1 game apiece. We've seen this before. So here we are back for game number 3. Lee Song-soo, after dominating game number 1, had a reality check in game number 2 about Zhuang Zhiyuan, but he knew before. He knows there's a reason he's been top 15 in the world. He was just outside briefly. He's currently back in. Zhuang Zhiyuan, number 15 in the world. But I mean, was in the top 10 for a good majority, I'd say, of the last 15 years. Lee Song-soo within the top 10 only recently. It's a fine balance when you play a player. You're playing the player today, but you're also playing their history, the knowledge that they bring from their history today to the table. Zhuang Zhiyuan has a lot of that. Drilling it deep to the corner again and again. Trying to find a little bit deeper spot, a little more threatening. It's really amazing to me, the stance of Lee Song-soo when he's on the receive. How wide his feet are apart, how low he stands. If you didn't see him in person, you'd think he's probably a pretty small guy. He's not. Pretty tall guy. Only maybe a few centimeters shorter than Jung Young-shik. They're quite close in height. But by style of play, by build, you'd think Jung Young-shik must be really tall, especially compared to Lee Song-soo. Not the case. A break off the top of the net, and Zhuang Zhiyuan ties it up 3 points apiece. It all started with that soft flip. Beautiful combination, short to the forehand, quick the other way to make a player run around that much. That's why you have to be careful not to run around the side of the table. We see this in footwork training drills, exercises, touching one net post and then the other. But in a point, it just takes too much time. talked about physical fitness of Zhuang Zhiyuan, both players, but Zhuang Zhiyuan, 37 years old, 10 years the senior of Lee Sang-soo, currently 27. Zhuang Zhiyuan, the same age as Timo Boll, two players that are really working hard to stay physically fit right now.
5-6.
Actually, two players who played T2 last season. Timo Boll, the winner of the overall first season. Zhuang Zhiyuan getting ready for the Indian Premier League coming up next week. He'll be stopping home for a little bit to Kaohsiung and going over. But I guess it depends how far he plays into this tournament. If he plays on Sunday, he might have to change that. See the edge of the table there. Tough ball to return, but in that position, very difficult to hit the side, so clear edge. It really feels like David and Goliath here. David being Zhuang Zhiyuan, the smaller of the two. Lee Sang-soo being the big, powerful hitter. Zhuang Zhiyuan just really has to chisel away and find the opportunities to use the opponent's power against him. Oh, but this one's too strong. Two solid blocks from Zhuang Zhiyuan. Lee Sang-soo finds the open corner the other way. Right on the white of the line. Joel. Well, this was interesting for me. Zhuang Zhiyuan with this reverse pendulum style serve. Didn't get as much wrist action as we're used to seeing. It didn't seem to create as much spin. Lee Sang-soo had a pretty easy time controlling it. Right after saying that, the exact opposite happened. Zhuang Zhiyuan disguises the serve well. Contacts it with top spin on the pendulum, keeps it inside the table, and gets an outright point. The ball's received out of control off the table. Surprise, surprise. Again, you think I'm going to that backhand guess again. Lee Sang-soo thought he knew. Zhuang Zhiyuan, quick movement. A little bit off the top of the net, but that rocket backhand that made game number one a landslide for Lee Sang-soo has come back here to tie it up. Shovel serve. It's interesting how the men's and women's games share different trends. I feel like there are certain things we see the women doing more that the top men are doing, but the shovel serve is something that I had seen in the women's game for quite some time, and it's transcended into the men's game.
Net 9-0.
Quite frankly, shorter strokes as well. It'd be a fun party game for table tennis fans. Make a list of all the things that you can think of that have gone one way, and then all the things that have gone the other come from the women's game.
10-9.
Another thing that fast footwork and leg strength can be great for is the threat that you can reach the ball if somebody plays it out wide to the forehand when you're chasing it down like that. Zhuang Zhiyuan with game point and the serve on his side. Pendulum, what's it going to be? Shovel. Pendulum again, doesn't get the outright point, but in the blocking game, takes it 11-9. Zhuang Zhiyuan up 2 games to 1 now after game number 1.
Post game. Zhuang to serve.
Here we are in
double.
game number 4. Zhuang Zhiyuan with the serve. Surprisingly, after game 1, ahead 2 games to 1 now. And backhand to backhand, keeping up with the pace here. Timing it just right to use his opponent's spinning power. Man, he looked villainous after that point. It's part of the Suge Knight factor. If you didn't know the guy, you'd think, man, he's intimidating. Someone you don't want to upset. He's actually incredibly gentle and friendly. Again, watch his Ask a Pro Anything. You'll see the teddy bear. This one sits up a little bit too much. Lee Song-soo has his choosing here for location. Pick a spot, any spot. Maybe not any spot, but down the line he has time here. Soft touch low just behind the net. Not popped up a lot, just enough. Beautiful flip. Surprised. You can see the way people use their breathing to sort of affect their stress levels out here. It's a lot of psychology at this level. Players have been playing a lot again with mixed doubles now. You see some players playing 5 matches in the same day. I think Wang Chunting I saw at breakfast this morning. Wang Chunting, I should say. Still trying to correct that. But yeah, he said, man, I'm exhausted. Played 5 matches yesterday. 3 events. You hear the sound there, not a lot of rotation on it. The crack of the bat. Pendulum serve, mostly side, light topspin. Follows it up over the table. And even from back on his heels as he turns the corner, able to put enough pressure on Lee Song-soo to deter the follow-up attack. Zhuang Zhiyuan up 5-2. Well, this is not typical of Lee Song-soo. Looked like it came off the table by enough, but clearly close enough to the table for some discomfort. Good length from Zhuang Zhiyuan. He's talking earlier about details. In case you're curious about the edge tape, Zhuang Zhiyuan's racket just with a little bit of edge tape on it. But some places it's missing. You can see at the top of the racket there that gap in the edge tape. Some players, because it affects the weight of the racket, they say, I'm only going to cover the part that is likely to get dinged on the table when I push.
3-7.
No need to have excess tape on your edge. Slows down your shot just that little bit. After all, you've got players weighing their blades to the gram to make sure that their spares weigh the exact same. Beautiful counter, timing and close to the table. Before the match, I was telling you how Zhuang Zhiyuan is used to that fast pace of play. Not generating the power, but staying in near the table to counter with some of the best players in the world. Where did that come from? Looked like he was off balance, just trying to get his feet in place, and he pulls out a rocket Lee Song-soo style backhand. 9-3. Second towel break, and he's up by 6 here. Oh, and he's got Lee Song-soo fishing. Lee Song-soo's strong behind the table, but right now he is fishing for some answers. 7 game points for Zhuang Zhiyuan. Oh my goodness, not a shot missed. Rocket cross court, pounded into the body and then hooking away. 11-3. We've seen that score before, but it was the other way around. And a full swing here. 3-1, Zhuang Zhiyuan 1 game away from victory. Enjoy the fitness. Game 5 coming back right after this. So the players are back now for game 5. You had a
Lead to
chance to see
serve,
Zhuang
bravo.
Zhiyuan with his shirt off there, looking the way most of us try to look in the mirror in the morning, at just the right angle with the sunlight coming in, like we actually have a six-pack all the time. That is his regular.
1 love.
He's been very up to the task. Again, 37 years old. Not so many playing at this level. Not so many still playing at 37 professionally. Timo Boll, Vladi Samsonov. Obviously, Vladi a little bit past that, but two players right now very in shape. Zhuang Zhiyuan and Timo Boll tied up now. Lee Song-soo with Zhuang Zhiyuan. At least 2 points in this game.
1-2.
Good long push. You can hear the frustration there. Zhuang Zhiyuan hadn't made too many mistakes in terms of being caught off guard, occasionally overpowered or beaten down the line.
2-all.
Tight over the table. Zhuang Zhiyuan's been very consistent in the short game, the touch. Watching game number 1, I mean, for those of you who've been here with me that whole time, it felt like, what could Zhuang Zhiyuan possibly do? But these are the answers that you find. Why the serve and receive are so important. Table tennis is such a tactical and mental game. Physical, yes. Challenging, yes. Creative, yes. It's one of the things that makes it so interesting to watch. Really does depend on the style, matchup, and the two players, but these two players both quite exciting. This is good for Lee Song-soo, finding some placement from in near the table. Trying to take control away from Zhuang Zhiyuan. This is a big point to regain that momentum, and the brows are back. It's funny, it's somewhere between villain and superhero, but definitely someone you don't want to mess with. That's how it appears. This one's tough. The only hope Zhuang Zhiyuan has there is that there's a lot of spin on the ball, but this one sits up. From this angle, you'll have a chance to see, well, for a moment anyway. Fun fact, Zhuang Zhiyuan often coached by his brother and was coached by his mother growing up, and still, his mother, a very high-level player. You sometimes see his brother on the world tour in the corner. Zhuang Zhiyuan doing a bit of coaching himself. Has his own club, amazing facility in Kaohsiung, southern part of Taiwan. Oh, leaves it open. In terms of timing and footwork, you think to yourself, Zhuang Zhiyuan plays a backhand, he's on the backhand side. But if it's just inside the table, it's not deep enough to the corner, it leaves open that shot the other way. Players know this well. Whenever they play a shot, the positioning they're creating, the openings they're creating for their opponent.
7-6.
So looking for that opening attack at the baseline of the table. But it's a tight serve from Lee Song-soo. That's what half long is all about. Hesitation, discomfort, late decision making. Love the firepower back and forth, but Lee Song-soo has come back. He's leading now by 2. Hong Kong, where Lee Song-soo was one of 3 Koreans in the last 8 in the quarterfinals. And by the semifinals, there were 2 Koreans left, but he was not one of them. It was Lim Jong-hoon and Cho Seung-min.
9-7.
There's something so exciting to me about the thought that when someone hits it at you that hard that you can confidently hold your racket up knowing that there's a decent chance you'll block it, keep it in play for position. So 1 game point saved, 2 game points left for for Lee Song-soo, for Jwang Ji-yuen to defend, or to serve against, I should say. Both. 3rd towel break of the game. Drying off the handle of the racket, the hands, the face, everything you think might affect your play. Top spin, steady. Lee Song-soo takes game number 6, 11-8, game number 5 rather. And we'll be back for game number 6.
Game. Jump to serve, double.
So as Jwang Ji-yuen cleans the table, make sure he's got no particles to affect the bounce. Good, predictable, honest bounce. He's still leading 3 games to 2 now.
1 love.
Oh, we saw a snake and we saw some feeling from under the table. In terms of snakes, I'm a big fan of the shot myself. I think one thing the pros do that sort of cuts down the amount of kick the ball has on it typically, occasionally Shushin will do this, is they like to keep a lot of topspin on it to keep their opponent away from the table. So where there's more topspin, that means there's less side spin. So the ball's not going to have quite the same kick as if you put, say, under and side spin on it from under the table, which Shushin did against Fong Bo for match point. Again, if you're curious why Shushin's not here, it's because he lost in the first round of the main draw last week at the China Open. And by Chinese national team standards, that means if you're qualified, you're seeded into the main draw. And you lose to a foreigner in the first round, you can't play the next tournament. Lee Song-soo ahead on the receive. First towel break of the game, and it's going to be a chiseling away once again. There were a few games in a row there where Lee Song-soo felt like he just really wasn't able to settle in and make the game his own, wasn't able to take his big shots. Jwang Ji-yuen playing aggressively when he had the chance, but also not afraid to block, look for placement. He's really good in the short game. Saw a lot of solid flips as well. Just being bullied around out here on that point. Zhuang Zhiyuan chasing to the backhand, just a step behind. This reminded me a little bit of Liu Shiwen versus Miu Hirano earlier. Lee Song-soo just looks like a bad dream out there, moving back and forth, wailing on the ball. Oh, once again, completely reverses it. Quick down the line the other way. Long serve, fast into the rally. Opens one up. Zhuang Zhiyuan, as his feet are catching up with his upper body, can't cover the ground behind him. I think Liu Shiwen's one of the best demonstrations of how to maintain your balance, but it's a little different game out here. Distance from the table. Oh, crushing power. With play like this and scores like this, this could go to the decider. Zhang Jike played 2 7-gamers today. He went to the 7th and won both of his matches. Jin Ueda most recently. Before that, Liang Jinquin. Good backhand here. An encouraging lead at 8-4. And still at 8-5. But definitely not safe. Definitely not comfortable. Oh, clever idea. Short side here, Lee Song-soo, and Zhuang Zhiyuan says, I have to go hard for it. There's an opening on the table, but if I play it soft, he's dangerous with the backhand, even on the run. Tries to arc it up and out. There's Chae Yoon-suk in the corner, coach for Lee Song-soo. And now 5 game points to take this to a deciding game number 7. And he does it. Lee Song-soo takes us to the decider. Game number 7, Zhuang Zhiyuan versus Lee Song-soo. Only one will survive. Who's it going to be? Stay right here to find out.
한수야, 찔러주는 거 좀 기다리고 있어. 짧게 주면 돼. 찔러주는 거 기다리는 거 하나도 없어.
Final game, lead to serve, double.
Here we are, game number 7. The decider did not look like it would go this way from game number 1, and by game number 5, no questions, it didn't look like it would go this way. The other way. Man, that's intimidating. I heard that about Lee Song-soo. He's got tons of fans throughout China, many in Korea as well. wins the point, looks right back at the opponent. Man, that's confrontational. I mean, the shots speak loudly enough. It's almost like something's been done to upset him. I wonder if there was something we didn't see or know about in the last game. And still a gentleman when he catches an edge or a break, apologizes. See if we can see it here. I think it was just the edge of the racket, the sound of the contact. Timeout on Zhuang Zhiyuan's side. It's a good timeout, down 0-3. I was gonna say, with all the fans that Lee Song-soo has, a lot of them like him for his charming smile and his kind face, but the funny thing is I heard from a lot of other people, they found him really intimidating, and here the fight is so clear. So Zhuang Zhiyuan has to find ways to shut down the attack of Lee Song-soo. In the receive game, the touch, keeping it short, anything he can do to get a quality first attack and keep Lee Song-soo from getting in over the table or right at the baseline, whether that means keeping it deep with a spin shot. Again, not every shot is a winner. Often you're just trying to get the opponent out of position or set yourself up to be in control of the table.
Love 3.
Right out of the timeout, Zhuang Zhiyuan gets a point. Lee Song-soo, one slips away, and you could hear how much it matters at this point. Top edge of the racket and not coming down. A rare occasion that the shot does, checking for cracks, drying off the ball. Ooh, good surprise in the long push to keep Lee Song-soo just a little bit behind. That extra step helps him out. First towel break, still only 2 points between them. This one could go either way. Sports psychology, a lot to do with belief right now. Beautiful shot on that step around, and he's going to switch sides of the table with momentum and a 3-point lead. It's game number 7, the decider. In the last game possible, players always switch sides of the table to make sure that an even amount of time has been spent on each side of the table. Now, talking to Lee Song-soo, he's actually training less that he's in the military, but he's been playing better. He's about 1.5 years into his training of 2 years of military service. Sometimes quality is better than quantity. Maybe even usually, I should say. But it's interesting to see. I think for Harimoto, that's a big thing too. People say, this kid practices forever. He's practicing all day, every day. He's not. With school and everything else, it's actually surprising how little he is practicing. Still practicing plenty, but it's really high quality practice. This is what Lee Song-soo wants. Attacks near the table with Zhuang Zhiyuan behind. Back up by 3 now, Lee Song-soo. Saw a bit of confusion there after the serve. Lee Song-soo didn't know what to expect, but the shot goes out. Watch one more time his positioning. Starts to hop a little bit to the backhand and then freezes for a moment. And Lee Song-soo now up by 5 points in the decider here, just 3 points away from booking himself a ticket to the semifinals. continues on his streak. No timeouts left for Zhuang Zhiyuan. Head scratching, yes, that is allowed. He still has plenty of that left. Well, maybe not plenty. It depends on how many points this continues. Flip goes out 7. Game and match points for Lee Song-soo from down 1-3. Oh, head to the racket. Beautiful point to say match point. Zhuang Zhiyuan with some quality shots right off the bounce. Saves a few. (11-4). Lee Song-soo moves on to the semifinals over Zhuang Zhiyuan in a solid match. It took 7 games to do it, but look at the scores in the last 3 games from 11-8 to 5-4. Lee Song-soo just got better as the race got longer. From the start of game number 7, you knew that he meant business. He left no questions for anybody here about how determined he was, and a fist bump with Coach Jay. We're gonna have a little interview on the court. I think if I had to guess, Matt Pound asked him, can we do it in English? Just a little bit. We will see. No translator on court. Always a charming moment for fans around the world to hear someone trying out a second language. In some cases, even less than that, even their third language. Zhuang Zhiyuan, a tough match and a tough loss from up 3-1, but we're going down for the interview with Matt Pound and Lee Song-soo.
With our winner Lee Song-soo through to the semi-final here at the Japan Open. You've played 4 matches today. You played in the morning the round of 16. You played men's doubles. You played mixed doubles. And now this crazy, crazy quarterfinal where you came back from 3-1 to win. How did you do it?
Yeah, more. I only think fight and more up, and now it's many wins. Yeah.
And you must be very tired after all these matches. You're gonna go home and rest now, or you're gonna stay and watch the Ma Long Haramoto match?
I don't know. This match is who wins. I don't know. Maybe many percent is Ma Long, and I think 50-50. Memories. Video is I see, and after I don't know.
Okay, go back to the hotel, get some rest, and good luck for your semi-final tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, there you heard it from Lee Song-soo in English. Fighting. The smile comes out, the charm after all that fight. So a little reminder, Harimoto versus Ma Long later today. The first time since 2015 at the Polish Open.